Good evening, good peoples. It is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. I'm here for the new distribution on Roundhill weekly pay single stocks. And so I'm going to go over the 10 that are currently exist, and then I'm going to show you the closing price today on the first day of trading for the new 5, including the one that's based on MSTR, so essentially a MISTY competitor, and we'll go over the other 4 that I had a video on, but I'll show you their launch prices. All right, let's jump in with Nvidia. These round hills are just paying fantastic. So, as a side note, when the market is moving up, what I really like about Roundhill is 2 things. First off, it has leverage, typically 120%. That plays out, okay, and better price capture on the up movement just destroys yield max. So I see yield max having to either move to weekly and or change to the swap, which they've already applied for and been approved. But I think on Misty and one other fund, I thought I heard Jay say in an interview. But again, they don't always disclose everything. So let's see if they can be competitive just by having a first mover advantage in the monthly funds and having Misty be the goat it is, Nvidia being their older goat, and even Coiw being a goat at times. They're falling behind with this weekly. Yeah, they did their groups. They switched to A, B, C, D. For anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, if you're in Yield Max, they have monthly payers, and then they have a headline in there like a Tslw underlying on Tslw. They have Coiw underlying on Coin, Misty underlying on MSTR, and Nvidia on Nvidia as an underlying. And so they kind of have that and 5 or 6 or 7 other monthly payers. And now, to their credit, Yomax has a whole bunch of weekly payers. For me, there's only 1 or 2 I would even consider. I wouldn't invest in YMAX. They tell you to, but it's the 80-20 rule. They got 40 something funds, and you get 80% garbage or also rans and 20% good ones. So for me, I don't like that approach. Build your own. Go buy the funds that you think are the best, a basket of 4 or 5, and run with that. Why pay them a higher fee? Because you do pay a higher fee on those grouped a fund of funds. You know, I'd love to see Roundhill do a fund of funds, and I think it's coming now that they have more funds. All right, now on just Roundhill, although when there's a reference of how they're doing better than other funds, I'll mention that. So they paid 78 cents. Those of you commuting, I'm here for you. Nvdw declared today, well, today being tomorrow, 725. Okay, you will X date of 728. So you got to buy on Friday if you want it. The X date is Monday. You get paid on Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday's the 29th, Monday's the 28th. All right. Nvdw yielded 79.15% and paid almost 79 cents. So right at that, the current price is 51.66, down 31 cents week over week. The last IV I got a couple days ago was 33.5, so considerably down on Nvidia. All right, let's move in to the Tslw fund. This one, as you guys know, it's ugly and it's volatile. Everybody typically is losing on that. After last week being up 79 cents, the Tslw Roundhill fund is down $2.21. But again, it's a payer. If you believe in Tesla longer term for the robotics, the full self-driving, even though electric car consumption buyers is really trending down, I think the full service, the robo taxi has future, and really the I forget what they call the robot, but that thing just looks very futuristic, very practical. In 5 years, you spend 30,000 and you have something, right? This AI movement is for real. All right, TSLW paid 46.463 cents, guys, on a 31.24 price of TSLW. So yield on cost is 77.15. One of the higher paydays. There was an 81% payday on June 20th, an 83 in March, but an 85% in April. But that's outstanding. Again, but do we chase yield? No. But if you own this and you believe in the future and you're DCAing, then I think you're on to something here. All right. Apple. Aapw. All right, it paid 43 cents. And the closing price was on Aapw was 36.14. That's a yield on cost 62.19. So excellent annualized yields on these weekly payers. 2 weeks ago, they paid 75 cents and yielded 105, fell back to 57% and a half yield last week, and they're back up to 62. This is really trending up. Back in May 30th, they paid 26 cents and had a 38%. Sorry, I was trying to give you this. They only paid 10 cents on May 30th with a 14.69 yield, and the price was 35.87. All right. So let's move on to Coiw. Coiw, based on coin, is just a monster. That and Hoow, right? Or Hoow, Hoow. Hoow is Yomax. Easier to say Hoow than Hoow, like an owl. All right. So $1.03, you commuters, on Coiw. The current price closed on Thursday at 59.27. It's actually down 361. Yeah, because it's been a monster. It was $62. So that's why I'm not buying more COW now. I want to catch it on a pullback. But I love that I own it. I made my move on MSTW. I sold all of my stuff, and now I'm a big MSTW and a big Pltw owner. Okay, I'm waiting on Coiw, not for any other reason than I think it's a little coin itself has just run up. All right, so what is the yield? Well, that yield on $1.03, guys. Take that. $1.03 is the payment. Yeah, it's almost a $60, but that's a weekly pay. Okay. So 90.55 yield. Excellent. All right, guys, let's move on to Pltw. The last of the original five. These guys have a track record, right? Ever since 229, 219 when they launched, and their first pay was 228. All right. What did Pltw? Well, it closed at 47.5, which was down 65 cents. Not down much. The yield was 75% annualized, and they paid 68.5. All right, commuters, 0.685 on Pltw. All right. So let's look at the second group of five, right? We'll call them the second five. The first five have been around. The second five have only been around since June, right? They came out and launched, I forget June 18th. I was looking, the first payday was 627. So Amazon, very nice, up $1.51. Amzw and Roundhill, 52.85 the closing price, had a annualized yield of 67.41, and it paid us 68.5 cents. So it and the Pltw both paid 68.5 cents. But with Pltw being a little cheaper than Amazon, it yielded more. All right. This one hasn't really caught on. It's based on BRK, Berkshire Hathaway B, and Roundhill is called BRKW. It closed at 48.54. Its actual first weekly up week, right? So it's down overall 165 since launch. Remember, these guys this is a fifth payment, guys. So they barely, been out a month. And they've gotten 5 payments, a little over a month. So what was the yield on the BRKW? 39.79. The IV from a couple days ago was only 16.90. So they paid 37 cents, which is 2 cents down, okay, from last week, but a world up from the first 3 payments. All right, Hoow. Oh my gosh. Hoow is just flying. All right, guys. So Hoow yielded 97. I say Hoow, guys, but I mean Hoow. It's just so much easier to say Hoow, but I'm not trying to bring Eomax in here. All right. So we're talking Roundhill HOOW, my commuter base. 97.81 is the yield. The payment, get ready for this, $1.27. Last week it paid $1.28. The week before it paid $1.18. Before that was 99 cents and 91. Is this toppy? You bet, right? It's actually down 374 for the week. But since launch, back on June 4th, this thing is up 1001. So not bad. Not bad at all. And you've been paid $5.50, guys. So that's $15 to the positive. But again, just be careful first time jumping in. Go all in on Hoow, chase yield, and have it, they cannot create magic. Nobody can create magic. If these underlying funds are going down and you're in an income fund, guess what the income fund NAV is going to do? It's going to go down with leverage even a little more. All right, let's jump to Meta Facebook. All right, the current payment is 46, almost 47 cents, 0.46782. All right, that's a yield annualized of 49.15. Speaking of 49, that is what Metw closed at, and that's up 47 cents on the week. All right, let's cover, only have one more. We have NFLW, based on Netflix. That is really trending down, guys. I got to tell you, just lately, Netflix, I looked at the underlying, the chart is down, exactly what I was describing. So, did you have a decent payment? Not really, considering last week it paid $1.28. I wonder if I copied that. Oh, you know what? That's a wrong payment for Netflix. All right. I got the payment from somebody else. Better fix that right now. When I see an amount and I see it somewhere else, I know something is wrong. Yeah. Okay. NFLW, a lot of this stuff. This should be 0.663. Yeah, that makes a big difference, guys. I don't know. 0.394. Sometimes when I've copied these all over to Google Sheets so I can pick up real-time new prices. And sometimes when I bring them all over, none of my formulas and data, the data will come over, but there's no formulas. So I think I've got formulas because the data looks current and it doesn't. So I really spent a lot of time this morning. It's just, and now I'm getting to where I can observe 52.4 looks good. But those should be moved down. I get 1, 2, 3, 4 payments. Why? Oh, okay. 3 payments, maybe only 4. Yeah, something is a little off there. I'm showing 5, and I think most of these only have 4. I'll get it corrected, guys. Uh, but clearly today's payment is today's payment. Let's check Hoow and see what I got going on. I'll fix that one right now. All right, so yeah, last week it was $1.28, $1.18. I got 0.969 instead of 96. Okay. And there is no payment there on 627. At least this isn't showing. I'll have to go back and it's not showing in one of the sources, but I'll go to Roundhill to make sure there wasn't one. Because usually I get my data from Roundhill. Right now I'm quickly using Yahoo Finance and looking at their distribution. So that's the question. Is there really valid a 627 payment for these guys? Um, that's my only issue. I don't think anybody else has that issue. The 219 guys don't. All right. So what do we do with the new launch, guys? Can't tell a whole lot, but they target $50, right? I bought some MSTW. I don't remember what I bought it at. It was 50 something, right? So it closed, and this is what I use going forward in my data to say this is their launch price. Granted, right? Because what else can you pick? You pick the close. And people bought at different prices, but not radically different. Let's take a look. I'll tell you right now, what was the range on MSTW today? So we had a low of 49.25 and we had a high of 51.01 and a close of 50.43. So anybody who says they bought at 49.28, something like that, seems reasonable. Not a huge volume. This thing will pick up. You know, people that have been faithful to Max, Misty's been the GOAT. There's no question. It was the fastest in 8 months to give you all your money back if you bought it. I think there's a bigger problem here. Somebody made it in my comments, and it's true, is MSTR's ability to generate income the same as it was through the options? I need to look at that closer. So will there be a point that you need to be into a YBTC or you need to be in something that sits on IBIT, right? And if you want growth, by IBIT alone. That is fascinating. I'm going to do a deeper dive on that and really compare MSTR funds and BTC income funds and see how they compare. So things that come to mind would be BitO, YBTC, a lot of these that are just based on BTC, besides all the IMSTs, MSTs, MSIIs, right? There's a whole bunch of players there. So keep that in mind if you own one of these and you think, you know, in the past, MSTR has been a great, at times it ran higher and further than BTC. I'm not so sure that it will. And I need to deep dive that. Give me something in your comments. Some people have already alerted to me that in previous videos. All right, guys. So let's look at a summary here. Anytime I do details, great for detail, but how does this all look? Well, here's your 15 funds, right? I color coded them, okay, slightly different here. I should make these, if I'm going to make white and white, this really should be orange, yellow, orange. Let's do it. Okay. So now I have three groups, and obviously I have a launch price now for these guys, right? An inception price. So let's focus on them. Let's look at the first five groups because they're all competing at the same time. Well, there's two funds that have nothing to do with Roundhill. Doesn't matter what fund you're in. Total return is down 26% for Apple, down 27% for Tesla. Tslw, Aapw here, but the underlyings are not getting it done, and so therefore the fund's not getting it done. Of the three, so we have Coin, we have Palantir, I'm just talking the underlying, and we have Nvidia. So the big winner is no, because of 219 launch, it's just how much coin has gone up lately. Okay. And I already talked to you about Coney only capturing 40% of the upside. I'm going to do some further analysis on these guys because we know that Coney pays a reasonable yield. I can go down and show you in the comparison, but it just can't keep up. And you keep up more in the Roundhill fund. So the winner of this first 5 group is, for total returns, 110% in 4.5 months. Going on, oh no, that's 5 months, guys. 2 to 7. Yeah. In 5 months, you have 110.99% total return if you were in COIW. You have a 77.05% total return for those 5 months in Palantir, and you have almost a 50%, a 49.14 in their Nvidia fund, Nvdw. Otherwise, the other two are losers. So do you see what I mean sometimes about you guys want to get, oh, I want to be diversified. They sell that on YieldMax, on YMax, right? Well, when you only have 5 funds here, you're not diversified and you're dragging yourself down with inferior funds. Now, I happen to think that Apple will pick up. So it might be a good time to buy some Aapw. I think it will perform in this AI cycle. All right. So let's look at the second 5. Now, these are shorter times, so you're going to see, look at Hoow. We all know that Hoow is just blown up. Hoow, right? The owl, Hoow. So when you're only 37 days old, calendar days, that's what happens when a stock moves up. Otherwise, you say, oh, look at Amazon. It's up 77%, right? This isn't right. Oh, Amazon is the 100. Sorry, guys, 140%. BRKB is barely positive. Why? Because this is not the climate for them. If the market turns down, gets jittery, then you'll do much better. It's like insurance, right? It's based on Buffett's idea of, companies that have paid the Coca-Colas, the Procter and Gamble. You still got to buy toilet paper, still got to brush your teeth, even if everybody is laid off. So it's that kind of cyclical, insurance safety. But this Hoow is just wild. So Netflix has been trending down. Again, everybody's going out and spending money because everybody's making money. This is an upcycle in the stock market. That will change, and Netflix will be, if we see a recession and we see other things, then Netflix will take off. So this is a short-term, last few weeks, last month, that Netflix is trending down, right? Look at the annualized gain if you take that. Now, again, that's 37 days annualized, so that's not going to happen. But during this period of time, what's the actual gain or loss? Well, in a month, a little over a month, it's down 8%. You can't win in an income fund. Look at Hoow, 28.4. It's even better than coin at 21.33. So while this looks tame at 110 because it's over a longer period of time, okay, but this is just a crazy run up. We all know that, right? Can it sustain it? I'm not so sure. Everybody talks about the great stuff, but I think it's due for a pause. Otherwise, it will crash 50%. So if it pauses over time and trends down a little, then that buys it for continuation up, depending on what the markets do. Okay, so all these guys launch. Is there anything really outstanding here to see? Well, as a reminder, just for anybody that missed this analysis that I just did, I'm typically coming in here and taking competitors. So we take Nvidia. Who else has an Nvidia fund? So you got Roundhill here. You got, what is it, Rex? I mix up Rex and Neos here, but it's not that important. Granite, YieldMax, and the underlying. and you look at everybody, but you say, oh, I got 3 guys at 219, I got one at 513 and one at 528. Well, that's not exactly even. So let's go down here and see who actually wins this scenario when you actually take everybody at the newest fund, 528. Now, in some fairness, I just added in Nvdw. So I have to go out and see when NVII actually declares next, right? And keep up with that. Yeah, they're all the IIs are the Rex funds. So that'll be forthcoming, guys. It's probably another 3 days before we get the declaration. But they're winning. Had this pushed Nvdw over by a percentage that has said, hey, NVII will be right back. But they're darn close. But it shows you that Rex is getting the job done also. Nobody else is that close. Granted, it's doing nice. Let's see. Is the distro annualized? Yeah. Look at how they're paying. They're paying fantastic, guys. I don't call them a yield trap. I call them a great yielder, but don't think that's the best total return, at least not over this period of time. I know several of you guys are commenting. I'm not telling you not to buy Granite. Granite's showing me they can get a lot done. They're beating Nvidia, right? So Nvidia is the trailer here. This one's so bad for everybody, I don't think it matters much. What we're saying is, oh yeah, see, this isn't good because they're not comparing current dates. Well, let's go out and look at current dates. Did TSII win this? No, they didn't. This is their data, so it's moved down here. But look at TSLW. Look at a lot of them. So Granite's at 28%. They're beating TSII in this one, and Roundhill is at 44.21. I just added the newest distribution, but that's not going to radically change everything. So on Aapw, we actually had Aapw. This is one of those cases where Aapw is actually, for Roundhill, is actually doing the best in this group. And only down 17, but is still not good. All right, look at the next category. Again, updated here for COIW with its pay. But again, you can't really look at COII because it's 6.4, all these other guys. So what do? I fixed that. So at 720%, it looks awesome, right? Like, oh, well, buy that one. No, because too short a time. Look at when I compare them all. Look at this, 2092. Who's paying? Who's paying you, baby? Bank, 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 right? So that's why this Coiw, during this period of time, I didn't have Coiw up here because the I should have it. I'll add it back up here because if it's doing 191 in this 6.4 period, then that's okay, but it's not 720. So it wouldn't really show up that much. And what happens when they all go? Yeah, the 2092. So the last one, there aren't that many competitors, guys. Give me anybody. I know new people will go here, but is there anybody that's even a full month? I don't think there's a POII or PLII. They're forthcoming. I know Rex has got a bunch coming out, guys. So I'm on that. I just don't think I'm missing anybody to go down here and have to show a 6.4 or a 7.18. But I will when that comes. So the winner here is Pltw, but nobody's keeping up with the underlying right now. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. I wanted to get this Roundhill weekly update to you and just show you how I'm trending, dealing with this. Again, this is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. This is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor. Have a great evening, the rest of your evening, and a Friday tomorrow. It's payday on the yield max. It's been declaration date here. So let's go, guys. All right, bye for now.